So let's talk about masks. This is mine. I made this because we couldn't find masks, and it's getting to be where they're required places. So this is the front of my mask, and it's actually funny that I did not purposely line this up, but it actually like worked out with Jack and his body there. It's not exactly, because you can tell from the circle that it's a little off, but it doesn't look too funky. And this is the inside, which is a flannel, and then I've got the opening so that you can put a filter in there, and then these were just hair ties that I cut in half. Man, I will tell you, I'll leave the link down below. It's a YouTube video where I got the pattern, and she actually has a printout where you can print out the shape and then cut it out. And I used hers, and her instructions were pretty easy. I followed the video, not the written instructions, so that's why I'm going to link you to the video instead of the blog, because that way you get both the video and then she's linked herself to her blog. Just preparing to make this took me hours, because I had to pre-wash all the fabric, which I should have done differently, because the fabric like frayed along the edges and got all knotted, and I had to like cut the edges off and pain in my butt. And then I had to iron everything so that it was completely flat, cut it out. The scissors that I was using did not work very well. Like literally I was cutting and like took forever to cut because it was not cutting through the fabric. And so I learned that the scissors that I had, these, were no good for fabric. I mean, I kind of figured that was going to happen. Which sucks, because I later found that these other scissors that I have here actually cut straight through the fabric, no problem. These were downstairs. They're now in my sewing basket. I have now stolen them as my sewing scissors. So it took me 3 or 4 hours between ironing, printing out the pattern, cutting out the pattern, just getting stuff ready. And I cut out, this is 3 different fabrics. So you've got your front facing fabric, your back facing fabric, and then another cotton fabric on the inside. So I cut out enough to make 2 of these, but I didn't cut out this front fabric. I only cut out this white fabric and this fabric here. And then after showing the old man this, he decided that he wanted me to make him one. So I cut out more of this white fabric and made him one out of that. This is a pain in the butt to do. And the people that are doing this and making hundreds to thousands of these, you are amazing, because this took me an entire day just to figure out how to make one. Yeah, I'm sure now that I've done it, I could probably do it much faster, but it's hard work. Like, I know somebody, she has donated over 3,000 masks to, I think, 12 different states. She's donated to hospitals, individuals that need them, and the only thing she requests is donations. If you choose to donate, so that she can buy more supplies and make more for other people. Man, I spent an entire day to make this one mask. An entire day. It took me like 10 hours to make one mask. And the problem, I think the biggest problem, was I don't really have table space. I don't have a kitchen table. There's just no room for one in my home. And so the only tables I have is this one here, which is about as wide as my filming area. I forgot to mention the other table that I have is my coffee table, which is in my living room, which is where I did all the sewing and ironing after I started sewing. It's not very big, and up here the only thing I did was I did the ironing and the cutting up here, and I did that mostly because of the bright light and the chair. And honestly, I wanted to do the sewing up here too, but that would have meant that I had to lug the sewing machine up here. So once I actually got to doing everything, I had to keep moving the sewing machine. Every time I needed to iron, I had to plug in the iron, move the sewing machine, use the table, unplug the iron, move it to somewhere where it could cool down and the animals wouldn't hurt themselves, get back to the sewing machine, do the next step. So every time I needed to iron like a crease, so I sewed all 3 pieces together, like, because there was 2 of each material. I sewed each one of those materials together, and then I had to iron each one of those. So it could have taken me longer if I did layer by layer, but I did all 3 layers and then moved, ironed, went back, sewed them together, ironed again. So everything that needed to be ironed, I had to move the sewing machine. And it felt like every time I thought I was done ironing, I had to freaking iron again. And it was a mess. And after he told me he wanted one, I was able to throw the second one together because I already had, you know, this fabric and the white fabric cut. It only took me a few minutes since I already had the fabric ironed, thank God. I just cut out the additional white, sewed it all together, did the ironing. I was kind of lazy in the second one, but I was able to get it done like 15-20 minutes on the second one, which I think at that point I had most of the work done and I wasn't stopping and starting the tutorial over and over again trying to figure out what I was doing. And these here are the biggest pain in the butt. My sewing machine would not go through these, so I had to hand stitch those. So what I did is I would sew up until the point where these are, and then I would hand crank with the foot up, because my sewing machine has this feature where if your presser foot is not down, it will not run. So I had to raise the presser foot and manually twist the crank on the side, and I went back and forth a couple times and then would sew until I reached the other end and then did the same thing. So they're not the prettiest. They have a little bit of knottiness there with the thread, but overall I think I didn't do bad. It fits, it works. It could have been a tighter fit, and I really wanted to put a wire here, but the instructions didn't include how to do a wire, and I was trying to figure out a way to do it without sewing through this front part so that there would be no stitch line. And I cut out this piece of flannel and I stitched on it so that that would be like the channel for the wire. And I was gonna try to hand sew this to the inside so that I could slip a wire in there, but I haven't gotten that far. I kind of just got tired of messing with it, honestly. And I had an idea for the wire, and I tried it with the second mask, and it totally failed because I sewed the piece of fabric on before sewing all the pieces together, and I didn't pay attention, and when I sewed the pieces together, I accidentally like covered up half of that piece. I put it up too high is what I did, so that didn't work. So I do get the fogged glasses when I wear it, but it is better than nothing, which is what I had before. And I didn't have to wait. Honestly, there's a lot of people that I know that are making masks and donating them, and I was just gonna ask for one, but I felt I had the means to make my own, so I should do that instead of adding on to the list of someone that is trying to help the community, because I knew that I would not be able to do these for, you know, a bunch of people like a lot of people have. But I applaud you if you make these and donate them, whether it be the square kind or this style. I just thought this style would probably fit better, and I never tried the square style, which if I have any fabric left from this, I may make one, but I don't know. They're a lot of work, and if you're making these, you're amazing. Keep up the great work, and thank you for helping the community, because a lot of people don't have access to sewing machines, or don't know how to use them, or just don't have the skills to make something like this. And there's a lot of people out there that are preying on people, a lot of scam sellers, and I know someone's been ripped off like 3 or 4 times, just trying to buy masks for her and her family. And it really sucks that people were like that, but it's also brought out a lot of good people in the community. One was actually shouted out on our local news station, and if I can find a link to that, I'll link it. But she's the one that's made over 3,000 masks, which is amazing. But I wanted to just talk about this because I didn't realize how hard it was to make these until I actually did it. And I feel like maybe a lot of other people might feel the same way, that they think, oh, that looks easy, but it's not. It's way harder than it looks. So that's all I have to say. I will see you guys next video. Don't know what it's going to be. Maybe some watermelon reviews. Maybe something crafty. We'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.